Roses bloom where the old road bends, petals fall where the story ends. Forces rise in the morning light, pushing my heart through the endless night. A golden key in my trembling hand unlocks the truth where the cosmos stand. Scrolls of starlight, they call.
All right. Yeah, everybody's saying they can't hear. I found the sound. uh, uh, can you hear? I can you say something?
There we go. Is that better? There we go.
Yeah. Good.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed that, but I think the little gremlins were trying to stop something.
Always. And so I am on still one YouTube channel here, but I want to introduce you because you have got such a great personality, a great energy about you. And it's been a while since you've been on the show here. And somebody, as I was telling you a couple of minutes ago, that somebody actually did recommend you to come back. Now, I have not been doing a lot of interviews, but when I thought about if I were going to do another interview, it would be with you because
Aw.
you have just a great sense of good energy. I guess is the best way I could say that. And the last time we were on here, it was a lot of fun with you because you had somewhat of an audience, if you will, and you were just oozing high energy with them. And it was so much fun. And I know that tonight will be a lot of fun also. I see a lot of people out on Rumble are starting to come in here. We're going to learn a little bit about Laura Van Tryne. So, first of all, you can find her on YouTube. She also has a webpage. I'm going to give you a lot of that information, and it will also be at the end of on Rumble out here. So let me just see here. 1 second. Yeah, let's see here. So I was actually going to. Okay, so Laura Van Tryne is lauravantryne.com, and we're going to kind of look at her webpage a little bit later. She also has an Instagram channel. Laura, well, excuse me, her Instagram channel is Laura Tryne. And so that's where you can find her, and she's going to tell us a lot more about her.
Yeah, it's
All
Van.
right.
There's no R in there.
Oh,
That's
what
okay.
am I saying it wrong?
Yeah, Van Tryne, Tyne. Yeah.
Tyne. I
Yep.
must have spelled it wrong. No, I did. I spelled it okay. That's me.
You know,
My vowels. AEIOU.
that actually makes sense because the vowels are all about frequencies, right?
You better believe it. Yeah. So in order to get to know her, I'm going to go on the personal side because I always tell people when I'm doing the interviews about what work that they do. And sometimes you can pick up on a little bit of who they are through their work and whether or not you're going to resonate with them. Actually, one of the things that caught my attention is my thumbnail was a saying. I actually went back and I saw one of your I guess it was one of your last shows that you did out on YouTube, where you were talking about this is a spiritual war and the prize is humanity. And I thought that is perfect.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. But right now, I want people to get a little bit more of a personal insight of who you are. Are you ready for these questions?
I am ready. Always love an adventure.
All right. Let's see. Let's take a look at the first one that comes up here. Okay, what's a moment from your childhood that shaped who you are today, but you didn't realize its impact until years later?
Oh, I know that one. Okay, I'm 12 years old, and I was camping with my family. It was like the grandparents and cousins and this and that, and back before cell phones and before communications. And I remember waking up one time, that last morning, and I had this dream. And in this dream, my best friend had died. And so in the dream, I'm standing on the kind of like by the road, and she's on a farmhouse on a hill, and she's waving goodbye to me, and she's telling me, I love you. I will not miss you because there is no such thing as an ending. And I remember waking up. That was weird. And I was crying when I woke up. And I said, Mom, I think Kelly died. And a mom being a mom, oh, it was just a dream, blah, blah, blah. And I was such a little jerk, I feel like. That's like, I got to go home. I got to go home. I got to go home. I got to find out about Kelly. Da, 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 da. We get home, and as we're pulling into the driveway, I race into the house, and the phone is ringing because the neighbors around can hear, right? Can see us coming in. I pick up the phone, and sure enough, Kelly had died. She was kicked in the stomach by her horse in a freak accident. And it shaped me because I realized then that I'm not normal. And I always could get a sense of like, where things were, or like, oh, turn left when I was like 5 years old kind of thing. And it shaped me. It haunted me, right? Because I'm 12 years old. I've lost my best friend, but she was saying goodbye to me in my dreams. And what does that mean? And it was really difficult. I spent a lot of time afterwards sleepwalking, apparently, and looking for her around the house. And it was traumatizing in many aspects. But fast forward to, gosh, about 10 years ago, she showed up in my house as a ghost. She wasn't a ghost, but she showed up in my house. And so when a person dies and they leave their body and they don't cross over, that's what a ghost is. And so we can pick up ghosts like as period pieces, right? Oh, that person must have died in like 1850s based on the clothing. Pro tip, don't die naked, right? So anyways, in all seriousness, Kelly shows up in my house, but she presents herself as like a woman in her mid to early 30s. So that told me that instant death, she did cross over. She was never a ghost. And that was really healing for me too, because I never knew, right? So yeah, when I was 12 years old, it kind of shaped me. It gave me a hint of who and what I was to become, but I didn't know it for many decades later, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's an awesome story. So any of you guys out there watching this on Rumble, you can kind of guess, if you can pick up on what is it that Laura does for a living, and you put your thoughts out there. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to read them. So the next question is another tip for you guys. It's a personal insight to Laura. So if Laura was to go back and give her 20-year-old self one piece of advice, what would that be? And why do you think you needed to hear it?
My 20-year-old self. Invincibility is not what you think it is.
It's overrated.
It can be overrated. It can be underrated, right? No. Gosh, when I was 20, I liked to have fun. I was in college. I was studious. There's a duality about me, and maybe it's part of my birth sign. I don't know. But, I graduated college with two degrees and two different minors, two majors and two minors. At the same time, I bartended. I actually earned more money the first 2 years. Excuse me. I started as a teacher. I got a teaching degree, but I made more money bartending than I did my first 2 years teaching. And I was like, wow, man, that's just so depressing.
That's okay. Yeah,
Not
I
anything
get a
wrong
lot
with
of people
bartending, but I was like,
make a
holy
lot
cow.
of money on tips.
Yeah, I always worked hard, but I played hard. And I think that 20-year-old me, is a reflection of that, because I do still to this day work hard. And I have to play hard. I have to go do things, and I have to get grounded and those types of things. But that advice from a 20-year-old, looking back at the 20-year-old self, basically it will be okay.
Yeah.
Learn to listen to the universe.
Yeah. So we got a couple people out there that put a couple of guesses in, and we're going to get to those in a minute. All right. So the next question is, Laura, when you were facing a really tough day, maybe having a creative block, or your go-to what is your go-to ritual or mindset to push through your toughest days? We all have them. We've all been there. Some people just kind of wallow in the energy and go through it. What would you say to anybody that you have done?
You have to push past the paralyzing fears and move forward. I am a tenacious pit bull at times. I don't look like it, but let me tell you what, I do not let go. And especially with the injustices, I'm very justice oriented, which is it's very frustrating at times to be justice oriented, because it's like, gosh, I just can't rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my go-to thing is I have to get outside. I have to go out into nature. I have to get grounded, especially with the work that I do.
Okay. If anybody has any questions, so far what we're actually asking is, what does Laura do? What is maybe if you've seen her YouTube channel, but if you have not seen her, we're just going to put some guesses out there. And I've got one other question for Laura. We'll give her a minute to think about this one. So if you had to pick one song or a movie or even a meal, what sums up your personality? What would sum up your personality, and why would that be?
Oh, wow. Okay.
If you don't have an answer on that one, we can get
No.
back to that one.
Okay. It's actually predates me, this song, but the song Longer by Dan Fogelberg. Because when you listen to the lyrics of that word, it's about cycling through the seasons and reincarnation. And that song always hit me. Okay, food, gosh.
Can you sing it for us?
Oh, you don't want that. You so don't want that. Even my own mom would say, "Can you sing happy birthday a little quieter?"
That's great. That's
Oh,
great. All right, I've got one more, and I kind of jumped it, and I don't know why, but let's see here. Okay, it's kind of an odd question, but what was your most unexpected encounter that you may have had, either with somebody in your industry or just someone in general? I guess it doesn't have to be in your industry. And how did it all go down? So this is your most unexpected encounter. So we're going to see what kind of how you handle when you least expect it. Put it that way.
oh, do they have to be physical people?
No, well, okay,
Let's
well,
we'll make them physical people.
no, it doesn't matter. I mean, what you do for a living is probably more exciting than the physical people.
Oh gosh. One of my favorite encounters with somebody, it would honestly have to be the Journey to Truth guys, and Aaron Kuhn and Tyler Koala. And so we were speaking at an event at ECETI in Washington State, and they were just getting started. But they had the best ideas, and they were just the most down to earth people, and we just clicked. And how many times when we come up with somebody, we come up to somebody, we meet them, and we just get so energized, right? And it's
Right.
like 1 + 1 is 4. And that's what those guys were to me, because it was in the very beginning, and nobody knows this, but at the time that I had met them and so many others, I think Michael Jaco and Michael Sala and just a bunch of these people, right? I was going through a divorce, and I didn't tell anybody. And for some reason, it was like, okay, once I met them and saw them, it's like, you know what? Here I am solving everybody else's problems, but I can't solve my own problem. And they were so down to earth, Just
That's cool.
so lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, those are the greatest surprises when you don't leave, when you get something, so much more joy out of something than maybe
Yeah.
you put your expectations into. So, all right. So moving right along, we're at the part where I'm going to ask or kind of look over at Rumble here. Fran Jan says that you are a medium, and I think somebody else guessed that. I think I saw something from Colleen out there that says that you speak to those beyond the veil, the veil. Yeah, the veil. Let's see there, and somebody else guessed maybe ET contactees. So what what is your line of work?
Woo. Okay. Well, I started out, as I said, life as a middle school math and Spanish teacher or a teacher, right? And so then life took a serious left turn. I'm like, whoa. And all the paranormal crap just started rolling through our house, and it was not pretty. And but I'll tell you, ET contactee, yes, I am also an exorcist. I remove the dark and the dirty. I work with people to help them connect to their higher selves. I work with them to help them connect with loved ones that may have passed. So I do a lot of different things. And the story, when you asked, who had what was the biggest impact you had recently with somebody? It was actually, and I might just sound like a Looney Tune, but I'm just going to say it out there because I haven't really said this out in the air before. I was in the Miami airport and getting ready to board a plane. Long story short, I'm at a little restaurant because from Miami to Oregon, it's like a 6.5, 7 hour flight. It's kind of a healthy flight. So I'm stopped there and I grab a bite to eat at the restaurant that's kind of near where my gate is. And these two women come up to me and they're like, "Oh, do you mind if we sit with you? There's no more tables." And I'm looking at them like, "Yeah, there is, but whatever. Come on, join me." And so I sit there and we're having this conversation. They start asking me these really like personal questions that it's like, you really have no business going there. And so I'm not giving them any real answers. I'm not really doing much. And they tell me, "Oh, we're flying into Portland." And da, 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 da. And it's like, "Oh, okay, me too," kind of thing. "Oh, great." And then they call the flight. And the one lady, and there's two of them, they were older. They were probably, one was in her like mid to late 60s and the other in their 70s. And they were supposed to be sisters. And the one that was younger says, "Oh, I wish I could just give you a hug. You're so wonderful and warm and this and that. But would you take a handshake?" Because the table was between us. I'm like, okay. I shake her hand. And then they get up and I watch them pixelate away and disappear.
Woo-hoo!
That was my weird experience lately. And
Whoa.
and by the way, they were not on my plane.
What?
Yeah, so ET
Shit.
contacting person, yeah. They
Yeah,
just
so if any of you have any questions, please put your questions out on the Rumble chat for Laura. So you know what? I kind of do. I read energies, and I think the older you get, it's almost it's a natural thing. It comes to you very easily. It's the knowing of the unknowing. It just seems very normal. But I've always thought about that. If I encountered something that's a silhouette or just a being that seems so real and they disappear, but it happens in my dreams. I could tell you that I don't communicate like you would awake. I do it in my dreams. And believe it or not, it started when I started to hear about movie stars that died. Like I heard the first time I heard Frank Sinatra died, it was devastating to everybody. I was a young kid when I heard that. And then another one was when my brother-in-law died. And I remember having all these conversations. It seemed like this conversation in my dream was forever. And then I realized you're no longer alive. But that it didn't stop there. It kept going with anybody that I knew, very personal. It went from like non-personal to very personal. And then it got to the point where when I was doing some of my early on in my early days, my Akashic readings, sometimes they would come in and they would leave. It's almost as like they just have a short message or something very short and then they're gone. And I never trusted it. Let's talk to
yeah.
you about when you truly started trusting this, or is it that something like There was a show that was called The Medium, where she always saw these ghosts, if you want to call that, was at a very young age became very normal. Is that what it was like for you, or explain to us what it was like?
It was like that because I also have 3 daughters. And in the beginning, okay, so I am at this point, I'm teaching elementary school in Spanish, and I'm at my daughter's elementary school. I'm teaching there, and one of my kids just started seeing and sensing everything. And I was very psychic as a kid. But my parents were literally like, "Oh, don't be weird." And it kind of shut down, right? And I didn't think twice of it. I kind of would know things, that intuitive hit. And so it got so bad in my house and I didn't know what to do. This is 20 years ago. The internet wasn't what it is today. This disclosure stuff isn't happening. I am a public school teacher. I'm a very public profiled figure in my hometown because I'm sitting on, helping people get elected for school board and this and that, all these things, and city council. And I had to quit teaching to figure this out. And it was the discernment issue. Learn to discern everybody. That's the best thing you can do to keep your soul safe, soul sovereignty, free will, because there are many shapeshifters and tricksters out there. And I don't want to make people paranoid, but I would like to kind of talk about that. So that was my first thing, is figuring out who or what I was talking with and dealing with, and how to keep my family safe. That was a big deal. I mean, we had in our house at the time, we had a hat man who was a sentinel. He's like a watcher being. Matt Damon movie, The Adjustment Bureau, by the way, is a really good movie about the hat men, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to change Matt Damon's future by thwarting his free will. And this is what these beings do. So we had the hat men, we had shadow beings, we had ghosts, we had what I now know to be reptilians. I mean, it was like who's who in the spiritual zoo, seriously. And I had to figure out how to protect my family. And that was so hard. I would get literally beaten up. I would get choked. I would get scratched, all these things. And I would get so angry at God too, because why would you do this to me? I mean, I wasn't dabbling in anything, and honestly, to this day, I've never touched a tarot card. I don't,
Oh,
I don't have anything against them, but I haven't, that's how green I was in the beginning. And so I had to figure this stuff out, throwing spaghetti on the wall, what sticks, what doesn't, 2 truths and a lie, 2 lies and a truth. But it was my training ground to be able to do what I do today. And I can look back at life now saying I'm the most blessed person to be able to do what I can do. If you would have asked me that 5-10 years ago, I would not have given you that answer.
yeah. Let's see here. I was going to try to bring up your website here. Just give me 1 second. So people, are you still doing the work?
I do the work. I do it full time for a living. And the goal is to help as many people as possible, because we weren't the only ones in this predicament. And if I can give somebody the Cliff Note version, if I can help them solve their problem, if I can get rid of the dark beings or the heavy energies for them and teach them how to not get reinfected, that's what this is about. And
Yeah. So, I just kind of want to ask you a question about that. The only time that I think I was ever truly encountered by something was right after 9/11, because I was watching it probably 100 hours a week. I was so into it, so sensitive, it just drew me in. And a fireman came to me that actually didn't make it,
yeah,
and I didn't know how to shake his energy. I had a spiritual teacher at the time, because I was just kind of it. So this was 2001. So my spiritual teacher was still became a friend to me, because I kind of got out of being the student with her. But I actually had to call her up about 10 o'clock at night and said, he was basically thinking he was still alive. He didn't
yeah,
understand. All he knew was that there were stairs. He kept kind of showing me this pictures, and the way that they communicate with you was almost, to me, and you could tell us how it is for you. It was almost like they show me like pictures, like in a movie,
yeah,
still pictures. So how does that work for you? How do you, I mean, you don't see it in your mind. You actually see them in the physical, right?
I can. I see them in many different ways. And, I'm going to address the firefighter first. He missed the memo, he died. All right. And it's a cruel joke that the light side has, in my opinion. And by the way, I've really gone after them on this one. When somebody dies, they exit the body. They need to be afforded the opportunity to say, okay, I died, and cross over, rather than lingering as a ghost. So for me, when I see them, I can see them like that. They'll show me pictures or images or movies. Sometimes I'll see them in full aspect. And it depends on my frequency and energy level, and also the ghost's frequency or energy level. So if I'm feeling depleted, I might feel like there's something there that I really can't sense or see, mostly because I'm tired. I don't want to, which is kind of rude to say that out loud, but it's the truth. Sometimes their energy is so strong, I can hear them talk. I remember going to a Target store years ago and with some friends who didn't know what I do or could see. And I see this little boy, and he's in this blue Nissan Quest minivan. This is probably 15 years ago. And he's bang, 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 bang. And he's a little blonde haired kid, maybe 6, 7 years old. And I say to my friends, "Oh my God, you see that boy in that van?" And they're like, "What boy?" He was so real to me. He had died. He was left in a car seat, but not in that car. He just found a similar family, and it was a resonance issue, and he didn't know what to do upon death. And so I was able to, in my mind's eye, because a lot of this I do mentally versus the hands and the this and that, because I had to hide it. I had to be normal. And so in my mind's eye, I coaxed him out of the van, and I brought in a pair of angels, and I had the angels take him to cross him over. And for anybody who feels like they have a ghost, a loved one, a not so loved one, or a stranger, I'm requesting a team of angels from the higher realms to come in and take this soul back home to God, source, heaven, whatever your word is for it. It really, truly is that simple.
Okay, so that was a fascinating story. I've got so many questions on that one, but this is the website. I'm actually going to drop this link, and it'll be at the end of the Rumble show also. So it's Laura Van Tryne, and I was saying her name incorrectly, so it's tyne.com. And it's Psychic Healer Teacher Consciousness and Arts Guide. And so we have courses out there. I just want to kind of show you some of the courses. There's some things you can: manifestation of mastery, energetic sovereignty, your soul's health, spiritual defense basics. That's a good one if you are attracted to this kind of stuff. In spiritual defense, intermediate, I can't speak.
Intermediate and advanced.
So just take a look. I mean, these are very reasonably priced out here. I mean, I've seen some where they were, a few $100s, but yours are like anywhere from $19 to maybe, $400, depending on the type of the class.
And so, the manifestation mastery class is going to be close to 2 months long. There's a coupon code that's coming out, manifest 333, to bring it down to that price. And at the end of that class, or towards the middle to the end, we're going to be doing a live Zoom to answer questions. But manifesting, it involves so much. How do you connect to your intuition? What is the quantum field? What role does karma play in manifestation? So we're taking all of these elements, breaking it down to give people tangible results when it comes to manifesting, because it's so multifaceted, but yet elegantly simple. And if we can practice manifestation with the little things, it gets us ready for when we need a big ask, right? And I just actually posted a social on manifestation. So I manifested this coffee mug. And long story short, I'd been searching for the perfect coffee mug. So I do this in my head all the time. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And it's the little things, right? I'm not necessarily looking for, a $500 million lottery ticket or whatever. That'd be nice, but I'm just not. And so I work with a client and I can't find the right coffee cup, but I don't tell anybody these things. And the work with her was so profound. She's like, oh my gosh, I have to send you something. I'm taking these pottery classes. I want to send you something. And I'm like, all right, well, thank you. You don't have to, but thank you. And this cup shows up. And what I can't show you on the bottom, because it's full of water right now, is that in the bottom of it is a dragon, a 3D dragon that is cemented into the bottom. And it has the perfect weight, the perfect heft. And it was just like so perfect. And it was just something I manifested. And I didn't know how I was going to get it. Right.
Yeah,
And
we have to let go of the outcome, and that's part of the
yeah.
key there is a lot of times you put as much imagination into it as you want, but it'll come. There's always it'll come when, like you said, we said, when you least expect it. These are the things that we talk about. If you want to talk about, I want to take you to a different spot here. Talk about manifestation versus praying. And a lot of people rather use I'm manifesting this. This is my energy, and I want to kind of get your perspective on this. And if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to.
I'm good with that. First of
But
all,
so praying to me is I'm praying for others, or I'm praying for myself, or what it may be. But then there's like a subset to this where people are taking these prayers and giving the energy away to something outside of them, which I think is also manifestation, where you're taking the energy out and putting it outside of yourself into the universe. Is there a difference between these two?
you know what? When we pray, first of all, when we pray like this, we're sort of closing off our energy. We pray like this, we're not, or like this in the earlier days of Jesus, right? We're really creating a direct line to the God source creator. And a big part of prayer is my belief structure. Okay, I'm praying that I get a new job. Okay, I really am praying hard to get a new job. But am I taking the physical actions to get a new job, for starters, right? Do I fully believe I'm worthy of this new job I want? So is my belief structure in alignment with the prayers I'm seeking? So there's a lot of facets to this.
Yeah, it is. You've got a compliment out there. Is from TCTME. It says, hello, Janine and friends. This is awesome. And they're basically, she is saying that she loves your necklace. It is so pretty.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, these are I do I do sell these because these are you familiar with Marcel Vogel?
yes.
Okay, so this is one of his students, and he's created jewelry with a purpose. Jewelry that has this is an ascension cut, and so it connects me to the higher realms. I've got them all, believe me, because they really work for me. And
Yeah.
so thank you for that. I love this. It's amethyst and phenakite on top. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Let's see here. Questions from anybody out on Rumble? It looks like we don't have anybody out on the a small YouTube channel that I have, and I was expecting that. That's why I was brave enough to put it out there. But so let's see here. If anyone has any questions, so I guess where I kind of want to go with this is I've always never thought about the darker energies. I guess I'm one of these that I refuse to give it any energy, but it is there. It could it be possible that I've encountered it and not have known it?
Oh yeah. But when we encounter it, it depends, like our layers of protection, right? So if we encounter it and we just move on, gosh, it's like, oh, that was disappointing to them. Right. But if you encounter something and you're feeling these things and you're starting to kind of like literally crawl out of your skin, there's something going on. Um, what is, where's the is there a weakness within the auric field? Is there something going on? Do I have a family member who's an alcoholic that's sort of bringing these things into my life and I don't know it? I mean, theme and variation all over the place, right? How do we protect ourselves? And the biggest thing we can do is focus in on ourselves, because we can only, and especially when we're talking like maybe politics or workplace stuff or whatever, all I need to do is focus in on my own self, and that echoes out, right? Am I coming from a place of compassion and kindness and helpfulness, or am I coming from anger and all these other types of emotions? Learning how to become a master of our emotions is part of being a human.
Yes.
And this is why we're here, learning to master our emotions. Now, mastering our emotions doesn't mean like, "Ooh, I'm so angry, I'm just going to bury the anger." That's not a mastery.
That's a digger.
We're just going to like sweep it under the rug and hope it doesn't pop out someday.
So I'm not sure if you're aware of the energies that we probably are. I shouldn't say it that way, but you're probably aware of the energies that a lot of people are taking a look at, really focusing. There's a lot, we call them empaths, I guess, and then there's a lot of other ones that they're givers and takers. That's the easiest way I could say this,
Yeah.
but I would have to say that there's what I've encountered is there's a lot more empaths out there, but the ones that basically don't get the energy of being kindness and having compassion and really lending an ear to fully being conscious in a conversation. I think that is what's happening right now with the energies, with everything that's been going on. And it's not that we're going to be selfish about it, we're going to be smarter about it. So if we have, as you might say, somebody that might be more of a narcissistic, that's a negative energy towards you because they're controlling you and they're manipulating and doing us all this other stuff, you have to really take a look at yourself, bring it in a little bit, and understand how much of yourself have you given away. Now that you might be aware of it, now what are you going to do about it? How do you control it? And that's what you're here for, to learn.
Absolutely. And then, karma, as beautiful as karma is going to test us down the road. And you bring up a really good point about the narcissist empath relationship. And the narcissists are controlled by, we think that everybody's spiritual team is above board, right? We think everybody's spiritual team comes from the light side. Well, newsflash, not so much. There are plenty of people out there whose spiritual teams are dark. Not every narcissist falls into that category, but with a narcissist, they're here to teach us boundaries.
So,
And
do you think that everybody came in as the light, or were there other? This is going to sound so naive on my part asking this question, but it's the little inner child in me that always believed that everybody was good. God is good, that type of thing. And then I think that there's something that takes a turn in everyone, because and I could be wrong, because a lot of people talk about, I think there was a show out there with Glenn Beck talking about half human, half aliens, all these different varieties, if you will. And so I guess maybe I want to believe, my inner child wants to believe that everything is good. And then they pick up and decide, well, this is an energy that I kind of like. They're manipulative, they're strong, and they're getting what they want. Am I right or wrong? Or would you
no,
have
you're
an
right
answer for
about
that?
that. Yeah. And it's a slippery slope. The slope to soul sovereignty. I mean, and what I'm so blessed to be able to do is I get to help people build a healthy soul. At the end of the day, when we leave these bodies, these rental units, the energy that animates these bodies has to go somewhere, right? Well, I want to have the healthiest soul possible, because when I can lead a life of with intelligence, wisdom, discernment, it doesn't mean I'm living a perfect life, okay? There is no learning in perfection. So we're here to learn, we're here to discern. And so when I can live this life and I'm building a healthy soul, it makes all the difference in the world. The amount of money I accumulate, the amount of things I accumulate, it can be fun for the 3D part of me, the conscious self, but it's finite. That aspect of me is not eternal. What is
Yeah.
eternal? Christ talks about life everlasting. He doesn't talk about death everlasting, right?
Yeah, so if we come into this, just think of this as, when we decide, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to pick my parents, right? And then I'm going to be born to them. The other big question is, do we know what we're being born into? Whether appearance could be, alcoholics or whatever it could be. And then that child or that whole family has to endure that. And however that they process the information, some are overachievers, right? They come out of that and said, I'll never be like that. Then the other ones, if you can't beat them, you might as well join them, that type of mentality. But I think that's the critical, that's the turning point here, where you make a conscious decision about which way that, if, let's say that you had two brothers and two sisters or whatever it might be, you're coming from a family of seven, and each one of them have their own little perspective of what their life wants to be, and some are good and some are bad, and some just some just don't get it, I guess.
Yeah. The one of the hardest things we can learn how to do as a human is to break the negative family patterns, right? That
Do you help people with that?
I do. I do a lot of that work because we have to see what's puppeting the family lines. And so I have this ability with my spiritual team. And when I work with somebody, we work together as a team. So I have a way so you and I are seeing the same thing on the etheric plane. Okay. So it's very different because I could tell you all these kinds of things, but how do you know it's true? So I have this way to work on a landscape, so to speak, where we're both there. And we oftentimes, and I'm working through the quantum field, I can see like the person's family history lines, if it's the male side, the female side, or both, or over a generation or whatever. But I can see these lines, and as I'm seeing them, I can see these like miasms, like string theory, these little dark spots. And it's like, okay, what's there? And we go through that. Okay, what is puppeting the family line? What is causing, maybe the alcohol addiction or the pedophilia to go through the generations, right? And why are some people born into families that they just don't feel like they fit into? Maybe it's because they came in to shake up the family line, to help the families break these negative uh, instances that are harmful to the soul.
Yeah,
Um,
and you know what? If you think about what we went through as far as like the truthers go, in every family there was one that was considered the rebel, right? The black sheep
yeah,
of the family, that was the one that actually knew everything. They didn't believe anything. There was almost like they were shielded, or else they just, in my case, I put up the blinders. I have this great way of my sister used to say this about me. You never want to hear anything, because to me, as soon as I hear that, it wasn't resonating with truth to me. So I would just kind of, I don't know, go on. I was really good at out of body, going leaving my body. I was really good at it when I was a kid. Um,
oh, me
and
too.
unfortunately, I did it a lot in school. I did it a lot when I was in school, and it was, I missed a lot of stuff. But thank God, because I was not MK Ultra by a lot of things by doing
And
that.
maybe by leaving the body, it saved you, right, from these indoctrinations. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask anybody out on Rumble if they had their superpower. Mine was becoming invisible, the invisible person, and I constantly was told that, and I said when I used to go to when I used to go to these big conferences in the '90s to hear all these spiritual speakers, like Wayne Dyer, Carol and Mason, all these people, and then when I would sit in a chair, there was no one that ever sat on either side of me. That's how invincible I was. I was just like, okay, how come nobody ever sees me? And I knew that there was a problem, but I wasn't ready to let everyone, know who I was. I was still and actually, it was a woman that told me, she was passing me, and she says, "You have up more walls than anybody I've ever seen." So she was very in tune to energy. But I wanted to ask everyone out on Rumble right now, if you have, what is your invisible, or you're not invisible, but what is your superpower? Because that's what we're talking about here, right, Laura?
I do a lot of different things, and basically at the root of it is I can manipulate energies. Everything is energy, right? No matter what dimension you're in, it's energy. So I can manipulate energy. Having said that, there's a lot of responsibility with that, right? And I don't take it lightly because I could use this for positive, negative, right? It's a big deal. And so, first of all, I always want to know, and I learned this lesson actually from my mentor. And what had happened was she started getting, she was my mentor in the early days. I'm trying to figure this out. And I mean, it was just a wild west in our house of beings and entities. And so she is my mentor. And then along the way, my abilities just opened up and skyrocketed. Okay. I don't talk about it a lot, but I do a lot of healing stuff and this and that. And um, she started getting jealous, but I didn't see that. I missed that memo. And she was constantly putting me down, berating me, belittling me. Oh, no, that's not right. That's not right. And stuff like this. And eventually, and we had a business together and we kind of parted our separate ways. But she became so vicious. And she is a person who was a spiritual teacher, but became so vicious and cruel towards me. I realized something. Check yourself. Why am I acting or reacting this way? What am I seeing or sensing and why? Always ask the why. So she was my biggest teacher more than being a mentor,
Yeah.
because now it's like, okay, this information I'm getting, is this pure? Is this true? Why am I acting or reacting a certain way? So I always look at things through a lens, I'm going to say, of compassion and discernment. But she taught me that because nobody is infallible.
Right. Right. So someone out here, Dakota, by the name of Dakota, is saying, I used to dream the future involving family. I guess that's her superpower. I'm not quite sure, um, you know, how they had protected her, or what that means, but maybe she manifested her family.
She could have manifested her family. She could have been coming in to be a protector for her family
Yeah.
as a possibility also. And
Yeah.
I can't read that comment from this element, so I can't really quite feel the whole thing. But and is she working also with her soul family, which may be different than the 3D family as well?
So let's talk a little bit about that. We've got about another 20 minutes here left, or however long you want to go. It's up to you. And I do appreciate you being here again. Um, what Let's talk about the family that we came in and we grew up with our parents versus the soul family. Can the soul family, my family, my mother and father, siblings, or whatever, they're kind of permanent, but is a soul family a revolving door, or is it pretty much always that? It's like, is it permanent?
Our souls originate from some place, sometime. Many of us are millennia years old, so to speak. There is no time in these other dimensions. And so some people, maybe they feel like they align with Pleiadian energy. Maybe they feel like they're Sirius energy. This is probably where your soul family comes into play. And they're here to guide us through even the 3D family. And maybe some of our 3D family members come from the same soul family group also. Or maybe they don't. There's so many themes and variations on this also.
Well,
There
it's
is
interesting that you say that, because out of my my personal family, I always felt that very close to just one sibling, and that was it. Never got mom, didn't understand dad until he got really old, and then I kind of understood him, but not to the degree that what I'm talking about is the love connection, heart to heart connection, to one sibling in my family, which I can get that through friends doing these shows. I can get that heart connection too, but it's not. It's only there for a short time, and then you move on, right? And so that's why I was kind of asking that question: is
yeah.
that the soul family, is it always changing? And I think it may change as you change. Is that correct?
Okay, so soul family might be different, is different from my perspective. Our soul family is also different than our spiritual teams, our spirit guides, right? So Perm 1212 Perm says, hey Laura, any chance you can tell me what I need to do to improve my soul health? Interesting convo, ladies. And that's on the YouTube one, which I can't see. And so this ties into that soul health. And so our spiritual teams ebb and flow and come and go as we are evolving or even de-evolving. So I started my work with the angelic realms. And because I'll tell you, the first thing to build a healthy soul is start building your angelic team. Humanity has to understand that angels cannot help us unless we ask. But don't ask when you're totally ticked off, like, grr, angels, why can't I? Da, 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 da. Okay, there's not much they can do with that. All right. But angels earn karma too. Angels, if we don't ask, they can't help us because they can't violate spiritual law. So ask. And we've been programmed to think that my problem isn't worthy of an angel's help. We've been programmed to think, oh, I got to save all my little angel chits, or, oh, I was born in sin, I'm going to die in sin. So, I have no hope for the angels or whatever. That's so not true. Everybody has access to angels. Angels are here to serve humanity. And so back to soul health, start working with your angels. Even if you can't see them, learn how to feel or sense they are around. That's the beginning. So a lot of people want to know, they say I'm not psychic. Everybody's psychic. Everybody has psychic ability, but psychic ability has so many themes and variations. Again, and different degrees in different manners. So some people see clearly, some people see and hear a little bit, some people just feel. By the way, when I say just feel, that's kind of the most powerful one because we're really in tune with our spidey senses. And it's like, if you get the danger, you know what to do. And so working with the angels, I'm requesting that a team of angels literally come and find me a good parking spot. Okay. That simple. I like to use the word right now, not because it sounds bossy or anything, but there's no time in those dimensions. So I feel like it's extra insurance to say right now. It's, Christmas time. Okay. The holidays are coming up and oh my gosh, my budget is so stretched, so thin already. Angels, I really need help finding the best deal on a turkey or whatever it is. Ask. And then look for the serendipities in your life. Okay, this is key. The serendipities, these joyful little moments where two pieces of your puzzle connect. And it's like, oh, okay. And it really helps to improve the soul health because what happens is now we're moving into the flow of the universe, right? And it can be so exciting. And we've just all been taught, that we're salmon and we just must swim upstream. It's exhausting. So just go with the flow. Ask the angels. I also, though, this is a really critical point. Vet your angels. Okay. Even if you cannot see or sense them, vet your angels. So I've actually got a little book on this. On like, how to do this. And so one of the things is salt cleanses in all dimensions. And when I call in my team of angels, and I can see them based on the work that I do. Yes, I can see them more than maybe most people. It just is what it is. Don't ask me to operate on your knee. Okay. I'm not trained in that. I put them in rows and columns so I can see and sense them where they're at. And I'm visualizing myself pouring salt on them, pouring frankincense oil on them. Because when I do that, if there's a shapeshifter, if there's a hologram, if there is something that disappears, it wasn't a true angel from the higher realms, and I've dodged a bullet. And so I do this with all the spiritual beings that I work with because I'm always looking for, is something not true? And if I'm vetting my angels and they all disappear on me, do not think that you're not worthy. You think, oh God, I dodged a bullet. Thank you. And try again.
Yeah. There's so many things that you basically have written books, and talked about that the last time you were on. I was just looking over there to see where are my books, because you gave me, I think it was 2 books, if I'm correct. You gave me one where I just journaled all the time in it. And then there was the other book there. Do you want to talk about your books, or do you have a new one out?
I've got 2 new ones out. So the first one was Navigating the Spiritual War. Um, Soul Tribe, Navigating the Spiritual War. How do you create a healthy soul? How do you find the imposter beings, and what do you do with them when you find them? And it's more of a self-help tool book. Like my whole point of that book was I can read it on a plane ride and digest the information. That was the goal, because spiritual practitioners make this stuff so complicated. It's ridiculous, and it doesn't need to be. The next book is, I'm going to call it a blog book. So I have a weekly blog on my website, and I had so many people saying, could you please turn this into a book, because I can read it easier. And so that one is out there too. And then the third one that I have out there is my story, Battle with the Dark Side, my journey from teacher to exorcist. And that one, people tell me all the time, "Oh, I bought the book, but I was really scared to read it because it was a scary title. But I never laughed so hard."
Well,
Like
that's good. It's sweet and sour.
yeah, and I'm kind of in this book. I'm going through these trials and tribulations. It's about 10 or 12 ghost stories that are true, and how I kind of solve those, and all the other beings and entities or whatever. And then it went through my trials and tribulations. Like, I was so green in the beginning of this. Like, somebody says, well, did you burn some sage? And I'm like, where do you get sage? Seriously. And I literally almost burnt my house by burning so much sage trying to solve my problem, but it didn't work.
I want to give a shout out real quickly here to Fire. I think it's Fire Dog out there. Thank you so much. And also too, I want to show this very quickly. If I hit the right thing here, Laura's. I'm going to go back to her website, and we can take a look what she's talking about. Some of the products that she has. And we're not asking. You guys could take a look at this at another time. But she's got aura cleansing. She's got. Is this a Battle with the Dark Side? My journey from teacher to exorcist.
That's
And a lot of people are interested in these type of things. Soul Tribe was the name of that book that you sent me, and you did sign it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Also, to Spiritual War, Understanding the Unseen World and How It Affects Us. This one here has got to be your bestseller, because just looking at these look pretty cool. To understanding, it's almost as if I want to say to you that you're explaining the rules, like the rules of the road, but you're understanding it from a spiritual perspective. Is this correct?
That is true, because I had to figure this stuff out. I mean, during those early days, calling, psychics are us, kissing every psychic frog, shaman, trying to find the answers. And it was hard. And what was going on is exactly this. How does this unseen energetic world affect us? It impacts all of us all the time. And the products on there are only products that I use and I find tried and true. And I'm not doing it to make money. The books go into a foundation, the profits for that, because I spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to solve my problem. And most of what I did not work. And it would be devastating on most days. And so these are the products that I find tried and true. And
Okay.
books are designed to help people, and and to tell a story, because learning through stories is part of entertainment, but it's also when we can put ourselves in that person's perspective, it really helps.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
going to jump over to kind of a different subject here and just get your perspective on it, because I do think that I'm trying to see who wrote. Oh, okay, it's I'm a Starfish. Put this out here. When I grab these stuff from Rumble, I don't get your handle, but this is who this was from. And let me stop sharing this here. Come back to us. She's basically talking about. We talk about energies and frequencies. So a lot of people resonate with like this one here is Lemera energy. What do you say about that?
Lemurian energy is it's such a wonderful energy. And I remember, and we can have past life recalls spontaneously or formal. I have had a lot of spontaneous recalls about my life on Lemuria. And we were not as dense. We were more opaque than we are now. But this Lemurian energy, it's a soft energy. It's a subtle energy. It's it's of peace, it's of knowledge, it's of trying to learn. And basically what happened to Lemuria was they were hit by the dark forces that they didn't even know existed. And I remember those days very, very well. It was not good. But these Lemurians they're lovely. They're just such a nice, gentle energy, and they're here to just learn. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm going to get to a quote and kind of talk about this, and then I would love to have you back again because there's just so much information out there. And I think the next time if you agree to come back, we'll talk more about the healing and work that you do, because I think I don't know if we're going to have time to do that today, but let's see here. What is this one? It says family members with the mental health issues, if they keep talking to the other side, other than sending heavenly angels to surround them. Any other suggestions?
So we're hitting on this planet a lot of dark entities that are creating mental health issues within humanity. People, we think that everybody reincarnates from the light side, but that's not true. And there's many reasons why somebody may not reincarnate from the light side. They may reincarnate from the lower astral. And it could be that they were soul napped. They were as a ghost and they got nabbed as a ghost. It sounds terrifying. Okay. I'm not here to terrify people, but what we're looking at with Perm 1212 here is, with family members with mental health issues, and they're talking to the other side. How do you know who or what they're talking with? And in those early days of my journey, one of my kids was talking to all these beings, and I was having a fit about it because I'm like, I don't know who they are. I wouldn't let, my then 6-year-old walk to the park by herself to go get ice cream out of the ice cream truck. Why am I going to allow her to be speaking to these beings and entities that I really can't see back then? And I had a lot of psychics say to me, oh, just let her explore, let her da-da-da-da. And I'm like, oh, heck no, because I don't know what's going on. So with Perm, bringing in angels, and it depends, like family members, do I live in the same household with them or are they extended? It kind of changes the rules a little bit. If I'm living with them, it gives me more spiritual jurisdiction because when I'm living with them, I want to keep my spaces clean and clear, right? And so I can fill my home with angels. I'm not a huge sage fan because it doesn't have the spiritual horsepower as some other things. Like Jesus was gifted frankincense, gold, and myrrh because they're high, powerful, high frequency substances. And so surrounding yourself and learning how vibration and frequency works and operates. And with the mental health issues, there's many reasons why we have mental health issues. It could be, the foods, the this, the that, all of those things, but we still need to own it and help ourselves and help our loved ones as much as we can. And so bringing in angels to the home to clean and clear it. I'm requesting, a phalanx of angels or a choir of angels to come in and clear my home of all the heavy energies, negative entities, and to remove them right now. And that works, but we got to find the doorways. How are the dark ones coming in? Okay.
So if anybody out there is watching this and if you feel that the need for the assistance, to contact Laura for help with this, because it's not something that you need somebody that's been doing this as long as she has been doing this. My next question here is, on this topic of the mental health, do you think that getting the vaccine has contributed to this mental health? Because every time I see that, my first thought is, and I could be too judgmental, is that person was vaxxed, not once, but multiple times.
I did a lot of work, and and I've actually never said this on the air before. So when those vaxes rolled out, um, my team was very adamant about not, because they said what it does is it puts a glass ceiling between them and their spiritual team. So it disconnects them, although they can still see and sense they're not connected or as connected. There are many different variations of that vax too. Some were placebo, some were this, some were that, because when I have a dozen different substances that go into bodies, I don't have the same effects all over, right? So some people have a heart issue, some people have a this issue or that issue. There's a lot of people who were force vaxxed. There was a lot of people who were duped, right? We believe in these certain institutions and we were tricked, right? And I remember I worked on a doctor, he was a surgeon, and he got the J&J, I don't know if I can say it out loud or not, but the J&J one on the last day, at like the last hour before he got fired. And he couldn't get around it. He couldn't get around it. And the next day his hand seized. He's a surgeon. I don't know how he found me, but he found me like the next day. And he says, "Can you help me?" And he was just,
Divine intervention.
he was sobbing. Yeah, he was just sobbing. This is his livelihood. He got it because of his student loans. He's got a family. Da, 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 da. That's why he did it. I worked on
Yeah.
him, and I'm pulling out, and this is before people are talking about black goo and this and that and graphene oxide. Da, da, da. And I start pulling out these black stringy things out of his hands. And I kept going and going and going and going. And finally, I felt like I got it all out. And you could call it a form of psychic surgery, right? It's all energy. He was playing tennis a couple days later.
Wow. Yeah.
And he's, yeah. So does it? Yes. It's probably one of the more cruelest experimentations that humanity has seen, unfortunately.
Yeah. One other thing, jumping back to the I guess there was a Medium article out there that was written, if you're delirious if you take life serious. Now, basically, I think the last, say, 7 years, all of us took life so seriously, and at some point we need to just let go seriously, because if you continue to, kind of talk about justice, right? And I think the scales of justice, and this is kind of like where I'm coming from. This is my own perspective of this. But if you take your own life so seriously, nobody else is going to. And so when everybody came out and they were trying to, what was the term that everyone was doing, trying to wake up everybody,
Mm.
basically everybody kind of looked like, what the hell is this one on, right? And we all said that's their own journey, that they had to do it. We were too damn serious about it. And then all of a sudden, you saw comedians coming out. These comedians were super funny, but they were the only ones that were entertaining us for the last 3 or 4 years. But then they
Yeah.
started to speak the truth that we knew about. So
Yeah.
they didn't take it, they didn't deliver it as serious, except for Jim Brewer. I got to say some prayers for him, because he's too serious about it, about his stuff now. But at some point, once we do wake up and we find out the truth, it's kind of hard not to take it seriously. So, it's just that when you take everything so seriously, your life, your energy, everything changes. You have to go back into the joy, try to find joy again.
We have to have joy. Joy when we're dealing with when I'm dealing with dark entities, or once we start laughing or have joy, it's like the buzzkill for them. Joy is so important. Do we take life seriously? Yes, we do. We care about certain things. We care maybe about, the environment. We care about this or that, which is great, but we have to have the joy. We have to have the balance. And I remember close to 20 years ago, one of my very first angelic experiences, long story short, these pair of angels are outside. They're not inside my house. And I'm like, why are they there? And they said, well, you didn't invite us in. I'm like, oh, that was lesson number one for me, right?
Yeah,
So
permission.
Right. And so they come in and they give me this lecture, and I'm like writing it down as fast as I can. And one of it was, this is 20 years ago. Humanity needs to start asking us angels for help. Humanity is going to get very dark very soon, and we need you to help us to help you, basically. And boy, if that wasn't prophetic looking in the rearview mirror, right? Now I think we're getting to the other side of a lot of this, because the truth is coming out, because there's people out there who are so passionate and they're feeling vindicated on so many levels. And also, and I know enough astrology to like be dangerous, okay? But year of the snake, ending, shedding, da 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 da, all this stuff in 2025. 2025 was a rough year for a lot of people. Okay, me too. And then next year it's a 1 year, it's a new beginnings, it's the horse, let's get out the gate, right? So it's changing, and we're seeing these justices happen, and we're seeing things change when it was so doom and gloom for so long. Even the types of television shows are different, because back when you were talking a few minutes ago, everything was doomsday, everything was dark, everything was violent on the televisions, if it was Netflix, if it was cable, if it was whatever. And now we're starting to get a little bit more comedy back, a little bit more levity back. And it's a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're kind of going to pull this around full circle about, helping ourselves. And I
Yeah.
think really that's what this year is going to wind down to be. You're right. If you add up the year 2026, it does come to a one. And so that just means I just hope that the energies are shifting. I feel something is happening to all of us right now, and I can't quite put my finger on it because it's happening. I feel it myself. I feel this at this time.
Yeah.
Energies are just
It
very, very
I think it's the
deep. What's that?
I think it's the solar storms that we're hitting with right now. We have to learn how to ride the flow of the solar storms, because it's ebbing and flowing. And I feel like it's almost like a little DNA shakeup for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, the energies have been like off the charts all over the place. You wake up, you're exhausted. Literally on Friday, I felt it was so hard for me to get back inside my body for the longest time on Friday. Um, but these energies are can be rough, but we're all in it together, and we're all here to learn as much as we can, to have these experiences and to enjoy them too.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna ask one more time. If anybody has any questions for Laura, please ask away now. This is your opportunity. We really got a chance to get to know her. And next time we come out, we're gonna make this even more fun for her. You've got a great way of delivering the information so that everybody understands it and gets it. And there's so many things that I think that we all need to go back to the basics, right? At some point, we all got too big for our britches, if I could say that. That's an old saying. It basically means we're a bunch of smarty pantses out there. What do you think?
Yeah, watch your ego, right? Keep your ego in check. And back when you're talking about, we got to waken everybody up. It's not our job to make sure somebody else is awake. Okay. They are on the path that they need to be on. As painful as it is for us to watch them, even, right? That's where they're supposed to be. They be open to receive their questions, their thoughts, and things like that. That's the best we can do. And to live these lives of example also.
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of hard. I'll have to admit one thing is that I was so one-sided in the early times going through this whole truther thing, and I thought that was that was the truth out there. Then you got to see the other side, and you might not have agreed to it, but it doesn't mean that's their truth, right? And we just have to learn how to get along with everybody's different beliefs. It's almost as if that we were all so brainwashed to believe one thing. Now that we know that we're not believing just one thing, but we have to honor all those different souls out there. I think who was it? I'm a Starfish was the one that says you just have to move on, but you bless them before you move on. And I've always said that.
Yeah.
You even bless the ones who have wronged you. They came in to teach you a lesson. And as hard as that may sound and as hurtful as they may have been, that's your healing to be the not the bigger person, but the bigger soul.
Absolutely. And this is about learning the how to master our emotions too, right? And with the truther movement, there was a lot of infiltration of non-truths within the truther movement too. I mean, because you've got whatever this group is saying, you know what, we're just going to insert this stuff to throw people off track, and it gets them arguing, it gets them. And I watch in, some of these groups and stuff, the infighting that will happen. And it's like, you know what, you got to find your own truth. You just got to find it. Yes.
That's what that was all about, is that everybody would say, you had 100 people over here and 100 people over there, and we started to divide among ourselves. But what we really were doing was thinking for ourselves, and it was okay to go whichever way you want. There is one question coming from AJ23. It's out on Rumble, that's why you can't see the handle, but I'll read it to you. It says, do I just say, angels, please come into my home, protect me? Then it goes on to say, I was hit by a truck, and now by a vehicle is smashed, and I can't work. Do I ask the angels to help me get a vehicle?
Yeah, this is a great one. If we've got a couple more minutes, I know we're running a little long here. So, Angel, I hope that you're physically and mentally okay after that, because those are traumas. Okay. So what you can do, and I don't have permission to do this for Angel, but I'm asking that the angels come in and help me. I'm asking that the angels come in and help repair any damage done to my body from the accident. All right, right now. And the other element is you need to start visualizing the type of car you want. If it's just something to get you in and out to get ready to go, hopefully there's insurances that are going to help you too with this, because it's a big lift right there. And so ask the angels, I'm asking the angels to guide me to the best possible car for my situation right now, and start having conversations with the angels, even if it's just in your mind's eye and you think you're talking to yourself. I'm asking for the angels to please help me find a car. I need to go back to work. I need to do these things. I'm struggling, and angels, please just ask them to keep helping. And then right now, ask them to find you the car.
There you
Ask,
go.
yeah, it's that simple. It can be that simple. It may take a little time for those pieces to be put into play to get there, though.
Yeah. Yeah, don't have any expectations. Don't that's the biggest part, is expectations. And a lot of people do have the expectations, and then when it comes from a different opportunity or a different direction, you might miss it. So yeah, so thank you so much, Laura, for being with us. I hope that everybody's enjoyed this. This was a great show, and I enjoyed having you back. So this is your third time on here, and appreciate you, and I hope we see you again more in the near future.
Well, thank you so much. And it was an honor and a pleasure to be here. So thank you for asking. I'm very serious about this. Loved all your questions. The audience is just amazing, by the way. I can feel the good vibes coming off the audience, which is always nice.
Yeah, thank you again, and have a great evening. And before we go, is there anything else that you were working on that you wanted to let everybody know about yourself? Or
You know what? I've got the manifestation class coming through. I've been working on that one for a year now, because I want to bring in all the elements, make it simple. That's a big one. And all I do is work. I mean, I literally see clients day in and day out kind of thing. So I love my life. I love what I'm doing. And that's pretty much what is going on right now. So right now it's about the manifestation class, which I am extremely excited about.
that's a great one. Yeah, everybody take a look at her website. All the links will be down below, and also on YouTube. Thank you so much, and blessings to you and your family, and happy holidays. And always sending you lots of love, Laura. Thank you for being here. Bye
Thank
now.
you. Likewise. Love you. And I love your show. Thank you, Janine.
Okay, we'll see you soon. Bye bye.